and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving on to, do we have any modifications to the agenda as prepared?
No modifications.
Thank you. Do we have any written comments provided by residents?
No additional comments.
Do we have any comments by residents in person? Do we have any online virtual comments? Hearing none. Move on to our action items. And I will handle the first item, and the second item I will hand off to Kelly Palmer. So I'm looking for approval of the minutes for our June 18 meeting.
I'll make the motion to.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'm handing over the East Pennsboro proposed annex district and data center requirements. I am on the Board of Commissioners in East Pennsboro. I don't want to have any conflict, and when it comes to the vote, I will be abstaining for the same reason.
Okay. I'm having connectivity issues, so I'm going to look over here right now. So the next action item we have on the agenda is the East Pennsboro proposed annex district and data center requirements.
Okay, yeah, so take it from there. We received, East Pennsboro Township has data center requirements that they put together, and also creation of a new annex district. So the board has our comments that's posted on the package. We have Darren Quigley with us today. Darren, we'll just turn it over to you. You want to give a quick overview of what's going on?
Sure. So East Pennsboro Township Board of Commissioners decided that in order to ensure that we have provided for all uses, we wanted to have a location for data centers available. An industrialized area is this annex district, which borders Lower Allen, Hampton, and Camp Hill. So it is adjacent to where Hampton is looking to put their data center uses. It's already, the properties are already split between those. And when we looked also sort of at Camp Hill, really the only place that looked like Camp Hill could potentially put this is in the shopping center area. So this district also splits part of the shopping center district. The actual requirements for data centers, they're all going to be conditional uses. There's 3 different types that we've provided for, and we think that we've pretty much hit sort of that appropriate regulation, not over the top, and we believe that this is a good ordinance.
The board has, our review, the staff review of it. There's some comments we have in there. I think, consistent with what Darren said, the ordinance is very thorough. It captures all aspects of regulation of data centers. We're starting to see when these things come in now, there's a lot of consistent elements to them. So this one, I think, follows right along. We had a recommendation there to share with Camp Hill, Hampton, and East Penn, and Lower Camp Hill, Hampton, and Lower Allen, since they're adjoining districts, so everyone's aware, given this is a hot topic. Other than that, we had a few other kind of administrative things for the township to consider, but we felt like the ordinance was pretty well done.
Does anybody on the board have a question?
Yeah, could you just, this is kind of a dummy question. I was a little confused with the annex issue. I wasn't sure if you were annexing part of another borough.
No, so
how that exactly works, because it was kind of new to me when
right.
I was where was Carlisle.
And the district may be more accurately probably called a remnant district. That doesn't sound quite as nice. Basically, when all of that area was East Pennsboro early on.
Historically, it was.
Yeah, and so as other municipalities broke off, this approximately 50-acre section still remained in East Pennsboro.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's a legacy
It
part
is.
of East Pennsboro, not East Pennsboro
No.
taking land
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, as I said, remnant sounds worse than
No, I
than
understand what
annex.
you're saying. Okay, that kind of helped understand it. Yeah.
I have a question with respect to the amount of developable land in this parcel, given all of the right-of-ways that exist. Is there, what is the developable land?
I believe it's approximately 20 acres, give or take.
Taking into account all of the right-of-ways?
Yes, correct, yes. And I think it's fair to say that East Pennsboro is a predominantly built-out community. There are no really large parcels that are undeveloped. Everything that will be done with respect to large projects of this sort are going to require manipulations and changes of configurations of lots, I believe, regardless.
Yeah, and I think the location of this makes a lot of sense, just given what the current uses are and just knowing that area in general. That use seems to fit with the area. Is this being driven by any particular applicant, or just East Pennsboro trying to get ahead of the?
So as I'm sure you're aware that there has been a lot of, this is a relatively new use for the area, right? And where municipalities have not provided for this use, it opens up the opportunity for folks to request it in other locations, which may not be complementary to the surrounding zoning districts. And we're looking to put this exactly,
Okay.
as you said, in an industrialized area, what is an industrialized area already.
I have just another question too.
Sure.
And this is, again, you'll have to forgive me. We're all getting educated about this. And it's new territory. But has your attorneys commented in terms of whether that 20 acres of developable land will be challenged as basically not allowing?
Yeah, she has suggested that no. She is also the solicitor for Hampton Township, so she's intimately familiar with both ordinances and believes that this use in that area in particular complements the other uses and will be sufficient.
To say that there's adequate.
Yes, correct.
Interesting. Okay. And again, it's nothing against what you're doing, but every time.
And I think it's fair to say that being a built-out community and a community of the size that we are, it is unlikely that we're ever going to see a hyperscale data center. I mean, the one that everybody's talking about is 700 acres. That's not, there is no 700 acres of developable land in East Pennsboro.
It's a good ordinance. Again, I'm asking a question more conceptually. Was there any looking at rehab or reuse areas?
Yeah, so we really don't have any. The last true rehab area that we had indicated within East Pennsboro was a former landfill site, and that 2 years ago became a solar farm.
Oh,
So that would have been the last one. And I think that was only about 20 acres, maybe, give or take. I don't even think it's 20 acres, to be honest with you. I'd have to go back and look.
that would have been a great example.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And it looked like and sounded like you guys had the opportunity for the public to come in and work on this. Do you
Yes.
think that was productive? Did you have good
Yes.
public participation?
Yes. So we did an open house in addition to the regular PC meetings and things like that. We had a fairly good turnout, a lot of discussions. It was more of a meet and greet. The PC members, the staff, everybody went around, and our consultants were there and engaged with folks one-on-one who had questions. And as that happened, they were people's concerns, because anytime you start talking about data centers, they have lots of concerns. And once they understood that why we need to do these sort of things, very supportive.
You mentioned that Hampton is likely going to be doing a similar zone right next to it.
Correct.
Has there been any coordination with Hampton as far as making sure there's not like contradictory language you're creating?
At this point, our solicitor is sort of working with that.
Okay.
We haven't, in fact, I just handed Kurt this morning what the final draft we hope looks like. Obviously, there may be comments that we need to address, but it's in a more finalized language. The solicitor prepared that in that finalized language, so I think that they should mesh pretty well. Again, it's not absolute that will happen. If things need to be tweaked and whatnot, why we'll make sure that happens.
Yeah, one of the items that I saw in the ordinance that was interesting to me was you had a requirement there for a community benefits package or a community incentive package,
Right.
which I think was, in my opinion, was a good add to the ordinance, because if that's going to be an expectation of the developer they come in, I mean, we all know we can't require a lot of offsite stuff, but put it in there that it could be a voluntary option for the developer and setting the standard here. So when somebody comes in, I think then it puts that issue out in the spotlight, because right now sometimes it feels like that's the background, and there's people, well, they work with the developer on this, but putting it right out where everybody can see, it's like, hey, we want to work with the developer for improvements in the community. I thought that was a good idea. Do you have any comments on how your board discussed that and decided to put it in?
Well, so a couple of things with that. One is, and if you look at the language, it also supports emergency services, first responders, and deals with people with whom we have mutual aid agreements. And in this way, because it is adjacent to those other municipalities, and in some instances, some of them may be the first responders to this, and it's also an opportunity for there to be a benefit to the other surrounding communities. That was important to the board in their discussions, to have a benefit that is community in nature, not just focused on East Pennsboro Township.
Any comment from the public or anybody online? Okay. We're looking for an action at this point then. Okay. Is there any proposed action from the board?
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed annex district in East Pennsboro Township, subject to consideration of staff comments.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Anything else?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'm abstaining. So the motion carries. Thank you. You did excellent.
Oh, there you go.
And moving on to our informational items, the bylaws update.
All right, so we had bylaws update. We had a big discussion last meeting. Got some comments back from the board. Anita was a big help. Took everything, put it back into the bylaws document and submitted the draft that I put then in your packet. So today, just any other discussions, suggestions the board may have. This is an informational item. So what I would suggest is once the board's comfortable with the bylaws, then we share them with the commissioners, have them look at it. I mean, look at that to make sure there's nothing in there that they would see as problematic, or I think, is there anything in there that they would share with other boards and commissions? So have them take a look at it. When they're okay, whether we kick it back here and then we put on for action at some point later this year.
I appreciate incorporating a number of the comments that I provided into it, especially with respect to the orientation of new members. I felt that was an important element.
All right. Moving on to our plans and minor amendments.
Okay, so Steve's not here today, so you can see all of the plans and minor amendments. 16 plans, notable plans listed there. Corolla Borough, Fort Lost, 48 apartments. Middlesex Township rebuilding the sheets on Harrisburg Pikes. That's interesting. And the Lower Island Township Liberty Forge Phase 1. So that's the 53 single-family detached units on the former Liberty Forge Golf Course. So if we had paper plans, it'd be wet spots for my tears. Developing the golf course, but we need to move forward. So I think it's a good plan. The design on it's good. And I think we know that housing in the county, there's definite need for that.
Kirk, do you know the Keystone soccer complex development? Is that the final development for that parcel?
Yes, I believe so. In South Middleton Township.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Moving on to our plan summary.
Okay, so you have the plan summaries there. You can see all the plans that we've received this month. Monthly MPC summary of what we received. We got a notification from Perry County on their comprehensive plan. We get those. Looked at it fine. I don't think we really had any comments on it. You see the Good Hope Road Ventures, that's showing up on here now. That was, we received that last month. We also looked at it last month. South Middleton Township submitted data center ordinance. We're looking at that. They also have battery energy storage systems included in that. It's something we're looking at. So that's a text amendment. The staff's looking at that. We're returning those. Later this week too, we also got North Newton Township has a data center ordinance. So we're seeing that most of our municipalities have that. The issue on battery energy storage systems, so, South Middleton's looking at that, is we're going to be putting together some, hopefully, I'm trying to work with some folks to get a little training session on that, and then offer up some resources that we found. With the data center stuff, and that came out last year, we put together kind of a white paper, and there wasn't a lot at the time. When you start to look at battery energy storage systems, there's quite a bit out there on it with model regulations and different informational pieces. So I don't want to duplicate it. But I think what we can do is refer our municipal partners to that if they're interested in doing something on that use. So I think that'll be one that we'll see from a regulatory standpoint. Hopefully get ahead of that. From a land use standpoint, I think it's coming. We may not see it immediately now, but I think in the coming years, especially all the improvements to the grid, the problem is the grid right now can't store energy. And I think that's where we're headed. We're going to need to store that energy at some point, and that's going to be our mechanism to do it.
Thank you. Nate, moving on to our legislative report. I don't have very much, but.
Well, in addition to what I sent you there at the beginning of the month, I have some data center bills that were moving through the House. So I believe it was on June 23rd, we had movement on 4 different bills. House Bill 2496, which proposes a 180-day data center moratorium for municipalities, I believe. HB 2650, it sets more data center standards. HB 2359, it prevents NDAs and is intended to promote more public transparency between developers and the communities that data centers are moving into. And then HB 2198, which has to do with repealing sales and use tax, which was established in the Tax Reform Code of 2021. And then, of course, this week on Sunday, we had the FBR legislation that moved through and was put into the budget. So those are the big ones that didn't really make it onto that list I sent July 4th.
Stephanie and Elizabeth, do you guys have any perspectives on the FPR legislation that was passed?
Boy.
I know you've reviewed it and just any
I mean,
thoughts you have.
I read over it briefly, so I'm not sure I'm in a position to give a thorough analysis, but I mean, some of the commentary that I saw kind of formalized, perhaps more so than it was previously, that spreading of FPRs in accordance with guidelines that are coming up is a normal farming operation and would also preempt municipalities from developing something more stringent. Those were maybe 2 big things.
Yeah, I would agree. That was probably the biggest takeaways.
Can you clarify, was it, because originally there were the 2 bills, one was about the ag best practices of application, the other was transportation. I was not clear, this particular bill tried to address both, or it is just addressing transportation and having a log of where the stuff is coming from, and then just complying with the best practices.
There were 2 separate pieces, and I don't, yeah.
I mean, it was put in the fiscal code. But yeah, I mean, it's still addressing transportation and, new guidelines.
Yeah, it looks like both 586 and 587, they were the two different bills. They were both included in Senate Bill 146. So
That's passed.
so the language for the broker hauler and then for the actual.
Also,
MPOs.
okay.
Yeah.
But DEP hasn't yet really recreated their best practices. That was pretty, that standards was kind of out of date, right?
Well, yeah, I believe
The application manual.
They have 3 years now to things put together, so it's not gonna be a quick fix. They'll still be.
It's a step.
While we're talking legislation, one other bill that's not on this list that we received from the Harrisburg Area Transportation Study this week was a bill, this is one of the northern county legislators that introduced it, that would redefine the membership on metropolitan planning organizations. And what it would do is redefine elected officials, specifically taking out county commissioners. This is a horrible idea. I'm not sure what really drove it up there, but when you look at the membership of our MPOs, you know, our counties are absolutely members of that. And I think in a very good position when you're looking at a very regional perspective on transportation. We engage our municipalities. We have partners from East Pennsboro Township, Silver Spring Township that fill some of our seats on the committee. But the way the legislation worked, it would pull counties out and require that the membership of MPOs be comprised of municipal elected officials, mayors, or their appointees. So apparently someone in the northern part of the county doesn't like existing MPO structure, but HATS sent us over a letter indicating that they're aware of this and they're notifying our legislative delegation. I think we're going to do likewise here. But, you know, with our MPO, especially with HATS, we're a multi-county MPO, and making sure that our membership is inclusive, not only of counties, but there's other stakeholders that are on that. It's more than just municipal elected officials. And I think the perspectives that we've had on HATS have been very effective. I think our relationship with HATS has really improved over the last several years, that as a region, we're working well together. And legislation like this, for whatever reason, really could throw in some problems to how we're operating. There's other federal issues that it raises. So it could really be opening up a can of worms here that we don't need for a system that I don't think is broken at this point.
Thank you. Any other comments on the legislative? Then moving on to our consistency letter.
We have our consistency letters for this month. Fred, we put, I think we have the townships in most of these that have townships. So we want to make sure we got that from the last time you made that comment. Nothing really sticks out for this month. Any questions on any of the letters of consistency?
Thank you. Commissioner Nieder.
Yes, boy, we're moving right along. So as you all did hear, the governor's budget was approved, and for the county, it's looking at this juncture, we mostly flat funding. Some of the areas that we were really hoping to have increased funding, particularly in the 911 area, our public safety, that budget line item for us runs about $3 million that we have to fund from other sources. And so the surcharge that is $1.95 on cell phone bills is not adequate for all of the things that we need to do to be able to respond to people when they call 911 from their iPad, from their watch, from their car, and to be able to communicate with them and pinpoint where they are. The technology is very expensive, and getting the employees that can utilize that technology is also a challenge. So we didn't get it. We're going to continue to be an issue that we will support. We are meeting with the delegation today. Hopefully they'll be able to attend. We've invited them. And it is to review our 2026-2030 strategic plan that we have finalized. It is a different plan than has been done here at the county, and it does focus on collaboration with them. So we're inviting them to the table to discuss that and how we can both be prepared. And Kirk shared a great example as it relates to HATS. Like, how do we have good lines of communication? I mean, we try to reach out to them with issues like that, but what's the best way? And so when they're aware of things that they're working on that we have strong feelings about how how it will impact the county, we can share that with them. Additionally, when we do have needs, what's the best way to just for us to discuss these things? Mental health has been an item that has been a challenge to discuss amongst that group, but we continue to try to do that as well. Just a couple of things that I thought you all might be interested in. The upcoming Shippensburg Fair, I believe, does it start Thursday, Kirk? Do you know, Stephanie? I know that there's on the 25th, so it's July, maybe 24th, 25th, maybe 23rd, I'm not exactly sure, but I know July 25th is the junior livestock auction. And so it's a really big fair for Western Cumberland. If anybody has any interest in heading out, I find it, the junior livestock folks are coordinated through our partnership with Penn State Ag Extension. And in fact, those students do such a great job of trying to really market their animals. I've gotten 2 letters with requests for me to attend and buy a goat and a sheep. And so it's just a great program to see these young students not only grow these animals, but also try and sell them and market themselves in the process. I welcomed the International Fellows from the Army War College last Friday, and it was just a fascinating thing to hear. There were 82 students from 78 countries, and we give them an overview of what local government is all about, our court system, and their questions are very insightful to what they find fascinating about our history and our government. Many of them centered around the judicial system and our election process, which was interesting. Is Janet on?
Yes.
Okay, I won't cover local defense group if she's on. The upcoming things that you may want to be aware of. We are having our CCAP conference in the beginning of August. That will be something where we'll continue to talk about issues. FPR was a key issue there. So when that group lobbies on it, it's helpful. We continue to talk about 911 funding and right to knows that are really costing a lot of time and money for municipalities and governments in general. We are going to be meeting, the commissioners are going to have an informational session with the Housing Coalition of Cumberland County, Belinda Egan, and just trying to look to see if there's any way that we can partner to help those efforts. Additionally, Ag Progress Days are in Penn State on August 10th through the 13th, if anybody's up there. I think there's going to be a number of folks participating. They have a government elected officials luncheon on the Wednesday that a lot of folks come from all over the state to participate in. And the Cumberland County Commission for Women will be hosting a Women in Government panel on Saturday, August 22nd. There's a sign-up sheet that's on our website. And really trying to encourage young folks to get more active and engaged within their local municipality or any commission such as this. So I'm going to be on the panel. Commissioner Fauci is going to be on the panel, and there's school board representatives and folks from parks and rec boards, just trying to talk to them about what it means to serve in that capacity. And then lastly, I'll say, and in that vein, Commissioner Fauci and I addressed a group of students that is coordinated out of Harrisburg, but it's from both Cumberland and Dauphin counties, and it's called the World Affairs Council. And when you are feeling a little bit depressed about government and the way things work, it was really delightful to speak to this young group of very engaged and interested, smart students, some in their first years in college and some still in high school, who are trying to figure out how they can help change the world for the better And Kirk made a wonderful presentation. And I don't know if you saw the article that Joyce Davis wrote in Penn Live, where you were cited as who knew planning could be fun. Apparently it
So that was my
can.
presentation.
So it was a lovely, lovely nod to how government can work well, and Kirk was a great example of that. So I think that is it for my update, unless anyone has any questions of me.
Kelly, on 911, I remember, I guess about a year ago, the legislation to extend the program. And at that time, there was an effort to try to increase the fee. The fee increase was not successful, but it was extended. How long was it extended for?
You know what, Fred, I should know that. I believe, I don't know if we have anybody from public safety on, through 28, but I'm not 100% positive on that.
I was looking at that upcoming sunset as another leverage point to try to get an increase. So
Yeah, I think that they were hopeful to try and get the increase now. It is viewed as, I mean, it's a tax. And so in this session, there was just no interest. And I differ than some of my colleagues in saying that I think we need to kind of think about another way to find resources, because I don't think that they're going to continue to increase that. But I believe that there are other methods we could use to potentially receive funding. And so, we're starting some of that conversation. But the thing that I do find a little bit frustrating about CCAP and the county commissioners, they do get something and they stick with it, and they just keep trying to trying to advance this legislation. One of those items is, and it continues to be something today, trying to get the state to require a mandated reassessment for the counties. And
it's not gonna
it's never going to happen, but they will not change course to accept that, that path isn't going to work. So let's try a different path. And so I feel they've adopted the same strategy with 911. And I'm not sure when it's going to get to a point where people are interested in increasing that surcharge. What the composition of the House and the Senate will have to be. So, yeah, apologize, Fred, but I can follow up and get that. I thought it was 28.
Thank you.
I have just a question. Good news, it sounds like the solar project is moving forward with the county. Can you talk about that just briefly?
Yes, that is a project that there's still some hurdles to be addressed. And that is when Middlesex rezoned, they removed it from our zone inadvertently, and I believe it was quite accidental. And so provided we can get approval for it to be on that site, we are moving forward with that. It really is, in my mind, a perfect location, right along 81, right near the LNG facility. So it's not obtrusive or,
It's not
invasive.
anybody's backyard.
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly. And those that would be, have the most proximity, it's really got a lot of screening of tree lines to the Grange, and it's lower, from topographically, it's lower than where the Grange is situated. So I'm encouraged about it from a financial standpoint. Our energy costs in all of our facilities are going up tremendously, and this is a way for us to really lock into a much lower rate and save the taxpayers a lot of money. So we're very encouraged and hopeful that we'll be able to actually finalize the transaction.
That's great.
I applaud that.
Thank you very much for the report.
No problem.
And we're going to move on to another fun planning program report from Kirk Stone.
And so related to what Kelly was saying, the group of interns, we actually have a bite from one of the students that was interested in being a student member of the planning commission. So I've been talking with him a little bit, seeing his availability. So maybe bringing him back at a future meeting to meet with the board. But That was fun. You go in and that day was kind of an interesting day. I had it on my calendar. I really didn't have a lot of detail what it was, and then kind of threw something together quick, and it worked. I put it together assuming that the kids would be interactive, which they were. A lot of good questions, and even afterward, they stuck around for a while, and they're interested. They're interested in the future. They want to have a positive impact on their community. And one of my messages to them was to get involved, that we need more younger generation influence and input into what we're doing. And you can see a lot of times, especially in this area, we get kind of one generation that's driving the ship on everything, and they're missing the younger generation that a lot of times have different ideas, different values that need to be included into the plan for the future. So it was refreshing. You leave things like that feeling energized, so I really enjoyed doing that. One other big issue that happened last week was Southampton Township had the first meeting of their planning commission. So if you recall, when we were looking at their planning committee that was, their elected officials, there was a little pushback with that during their data center regulation review. They seated a new planning commission, and they asked us to come out and do a brief training. So Steve and I went out and did a brief training with their 5 new planning commission members. So a little bit of a deer in the headlights look as their first meeting. They're getting hit with a lot of this. They had a few action items. Steve stayed afterwards to, if they had any questions from our review on that. I think it went really well. So again, I think, kudos to Southampton Township seating the new planning commission. Thanks to the folks that have stepped up to serve on that board too. I think they'll serve the community well. And then I think I sent a note out this week, August 5th, from noon to 1. We're having a special, we're calling a municipal information session on the 21st Century Road to Housing Act that was just passed last Friday. So we have someone from National Association of Realtors, Elaine Weiss. She's one of their senior policy analysts from Washington. So I'm really excited that we got her to work with the Greater Harrisburg Association of Realtors. Are co-sponsoring this with Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. So talk to Andrew Baumberger. We have Leah Eppinger is going to serve on the panel along with Mary Kuna from Cumberland County. So the way we have this set up, we have folks from NAR give us kind of an overview of the legislation, what's included, and then how it'll make it to reality, into actually regulatory guidelines. And then Mary and Leah will talk a little bit about what it means to each county and programs they see that may or may not work. I think it'll be an interesting session. This is new housing legislation. When I've read through some of it, especially when they get into a little of the zoning stuff, I cringe a little bit because when the feds start to meddle in zoning, it always makes me nervous. I think they don't know how it works at the local level, and I think they still believe it's a one size fits all. There's certain, we work with this state and this is how it works. It's like, well, that's not how it works in Pennsylvania. So I think we need to really take a close look at it, see what our needs and how we might be able to address it with the legislation. After that, staff, anyone updates?
August 13th, we're going to have a farmland preservation community meeting. There's some flyers over here. So we'll do 2 sessions, one at 10 a.m. and one at 6 p.m. Generally targeted towards, towards farmers, but we always encourage folks that might just be interested in land preservation to come and learn more about the program. Also, just might note, nothing that's on the dashboard, but Upper Allen Township is considering an open space referendum. So that's a pretty significant development in the world of open space land preservation. They have keyed in on a combination of both an EIT and a property tax. So it would be 1/20th of 1% on the earned income tax and 20 cents per 1,000 assessed valuation, 0.2 mils for the property tax. So that will be on the ballot in November, and we'll see how it goes. I've been participating in a couple of meetings and trying to provide some information to the township and stakeholders out there to hopefully be successful and get some more land preservation in that neck of the woods.
Do you have any additional information on what the program is actually going to look like what it's going to fund, or? Because I thought that was kind of vague early on in some of those meetings.
Yeah, the way oh boy, I don't think this, okay, here it is, yeah. So the way the ballot language will be worded, we'll talk about acquiring agricultural conservation easements, financing acquisition of open space, financing acquisition of recreational land, and this one's more generic, developing or acquiring property development rights. So, it doesn't have a full-fledged program, but those were the kind of the 4 areas that were called out. So it could be farmland, open space, or parkland.
Just to get into that a little bit, Matt, the consultants from the National Lands Trust There was a lot of discussion at a lot of those meetings about what should be included or not. They dropped out the historical aspect because that Silver Spring had a lot of trouble with that. And the Silver Springs folks, Laura Brown, Vince DiFilippo, Frank Eaglehawk, they've been really kind of working with them pretty closely to share their experience. But I had some of the same questions because a lot of the citizens in the audience asked about, well, what exactly is this going to be used for? And the response was pretty much, this is a ballot initiative, and if you make it too specific, you can shoot yourself in the foot, so to speak, if you make it too rigid. So the implication is if the ballot initiative happens, that then a lot more detail will be done with public input in terms of exactly how that money would be spent. But it's seen sort of as a second step, which is
Okay.
a little bit counter.
I mean, I think it kind of cuts both ways too, because if you're asking people to commit tax dollars on an ongoing basis for an undefined goal, I think people are going to be more leery on that too. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. You don't want to make it too specific, but I think there's a balance there.
Yeah, and that was kind of an educational thing for me because I had the same question. You would want it to be fairly specific, but
And did you say the historic element was removed?
correct because of the I would say the potential liability or costs of that, and most of these initiatives around the state do exclude historic, and there's pretty common down in Chester County. That's many of the townships do it down there. Obviously, in our county, it's only Silver Spring, but the advice was pretty much to not include historic preservation because of that being worms.
That's a good point. I had heard, I hate to even raise it, that the Bishop Bridge issue was part of that discussion.
That comes back to haunt.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, and I attended quite a few of those meetings as did Steph, and the good news is I think all 5 of the commissioners now with this combined approach have agreed to have it on the ballot. Initially, it was just going to be earned income because it's a simpler approach and what Silver Spring did, but there was some concerns about the equitability of that and came from retired folks. There's a lot of retired folks in Upper Ellen and they wouldn't be paying anything because they don't have earned income. So this was an attempt to balance the responsibility over the costs. And now my understanding, I don't know, they just met last night, but I believe that all 5 commissioners were recommending the change of this combined approach to be put on the ballot.
All righty, thank you. Moving on to our coordinating agencies, I do believe we have Janet Anderson.
Good morning, everyone. I will start with CYALDG. Kelly, if I don't hit what you wanted, because I was not there, I was at the beach, please chime in. We are considering 2 projects, Post Road for bridge repair, and I did write a letter of support this week for multimodal funding for that. And also the South Gate at NSA Mechanicsburg. A reopening of that gate. Greg and I had the opportunity to tour and they were requesting that we work on that. So we have moved that forward to see what the possibility of that is. So those are the 2 big projects. Kelly, anything you wanted to cover there besides those two?
Those were
Great.
the 2 items.
I thought I had it, but I wanted to make sure. I also wanted to share with all of you that it is America 250, and we have sponsored, I may have said this before, but this is our final count, 20 projects throughout the county totaling $45,691. One of those is the bunting on the courthouse, which is absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't seen it, please go. And while you're doing that, check out the bell that was placed there because it is also quite nice. Wanted to hit on some of our grants. We did fully fund at this point, almost $800,000 in 6 projects across Cumberland County. I have that list. If anyone is interested, I will share that with you. Our next round for grants will open in August, so keep watch for that. I also wanted to announce that we have been awarded the World Downhill Skateboarding Championship in the United States, which will happen September 18 through the 20th. And it's very exciting. Our board is very excited about it. We're very excited about it. But when you go to that website and you see that July 4th and 5th, they were in the Isle of Man. In June, they were in Turkey. They announced the United States site as Cumberland Valley. So it's quite exciting. And after us, they go to Brazil. So we're really excited about it. It's going to bring in some interesting folks.
Can you highlight where that's expected to take place?
I cannot, but I can get that for all of you. It's in Enola. And I will tell you, they will be closing the road. We had to bring PennDOT in as we were, I'm going to say, chasing this opportunity, but we brought PennDOT in. We had to get their concurrence and get approval to shut down the road. One of the guys came and actually rode it without shutting down the road. I don't know how you do that. They go like 70 miles an hour. If you go out and look at that website, I want to go and yet I don't. So it's quite fascinating. And at 70 miles an hour on a skateboard, no way. So,
Miller's Gap Road.
Yeah. Where is it?
Miller's Gap Road.
There we go.
I don't think it was paid.
So we've also been reaching out. We're looking for food trucks. We're looking for hay bales. So we've been doing some of that. They typically bring that in from afar. So we're trying to get some of our folks locally involved in doing some of that. So it's probably the most exciting thing I'll say today. Next round of tourism grants, I'll say it again, August 2026. Want to remind everyone that LSA Category 4 funding is open, as well as statewide will open shortly. Countywide brownfield inventory, we have closed the grant on this for the federal government. We're in the process of putting together an advisory committee. Kirk, we're going to be, if we haven't already reached out to you, we'll be reaching out to see if you'll be part of that advisory committee. We are going to be reaching out to municipalities for sites, and we are looking at a date in September for that group to actually meet for the first time and go out and visit some of the sites that we hope to assess and perhaps remediate. So that is moving forward. On the Frog Switch site, demolition has officially begun. I was told this week after returning from my vacation that the frog shop is 80% down. So if you drive by, you will see lots of things happening on site there. And I think that's all I have, unless you have questions. All right.
All right, moving on. Are there any other comments for the good of the order?
One, I'm involved down in Newville with their home rule effort. As part of that, the president of council is on the commission. He's talked to me about re-engaging the borough in the update of their comprehensive plan. I provided some general information, both county resources, state resources, that want to talk a little bit, Kurt, to you about it. maybe having a rep from the planning department go down to one of their planning commission meetings. The planning commission is starting that process and just exploring options at this point.
Yeah, Cal's it. Glad to do it.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? Seems a little unusual. Anybody care to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.
Want to go back out?